Hello, this is Simon Mayfield. You are currently listening to The Life of Movementz. In today's episode, we discuss my love of the outdoors and all things beer.
Welcome back, listeners. This is your podcast for inspiring, informative content for all things outdoors and health related, with interviews, reviews, and experiences that will motivate you and inform you about all things outside. I'm your host, Kieran Clark. This is The Life of Movementz. Good evening, Simon. How are you?
I'm very well, Kieran. Thanks for having me on. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. Enjoying the lockdown life, which seems to be the topic of everyone's discussion at the moment. How are you coping?
Yeah, good. I'm trying to get to grips with it. I think I'm just about there, but yeah, really longing to kind of get outside and start using the tent and stuff again.
Oh, mate, I think we're all struggling at the minute trying to get out and use the tents. Like I was saying to Kev yesterday, I think we'll have to organise some massive wild camping get-up or something once it's all done, just for everyone to get back out again.
Mate, it'll be a mutiny, won't it? It'll just be hundreds of us just sitting on the hill, just all having a group camp. It would be awesome.
Oh, it would be good fun, indeed. Also, you haven't been camping in quite a while, because also you live in London. For people who don't know, Simon lives in central London, to not think of a better word. And also you've got your apartment with a balcony, which you camped on the other day. How was that?
I did, yeah. So this is me trying to make the most of kind of my surroundings, and I can't take credit for it actually. So there's another guy, Londoner Outdoors, who I've been watching for quite some time, and he's really good, and he lives in London as well, and he's got a balcony, and so I thought it was a good idea. So I did that last weekend, and to be honest, it was good fun. But it was no sleep, as you'd imagine. It's a lot noisier sort of being in the city than it is sort of on the hills or in the lakes or the peaks. But yeah, it was good. It was enjoyable. Just nice to be outside and sort of sleep under the stars, I suppose. And had a couple of beers and chilled out and sort of. Yes, I guess it was sort of half of the experience of doing the real thing. But yeah, really enjoyed it, and it was pretty warm as well. Yeah, not too cold. It's good.
Oh, it has been really warm here. Like I was saying before, I've been out and I got horrifically sunburnt, which was not very nice at all.
Yeah, you said. Yeah, how are you coping with that? Did you get any blisters from that? Or
no, thankfully, I've got like a sort of like olivey skin, so I wasn't too bad. No blisters or anything like that, but it was not very pleasant at all. How do you find living in London and trying to escape to the outdoors? Is that easy, difficult? How's that for you?
It's okay. It's I constantly see so I've got a couple of friends who live in Manchester and sort of nearer to those places where you might go, like the Peak District and Lake District, and I'm kind of a bit envious of it. And I from time to time I do think, oh, it'd be so much easier if I lived up there. However, yeah, as I said, I kind of follow some other guys online, and there are quite a few people who sort of either live in London or around London, and so from watching their videos, there are plenty of places to go. You don't have to go to the Peak District and Lake District, and I didn't necessarily realise that. So the first time I went camping, I was straight up to the Brecon Beacons, South Wales, then onto the Peak District, and then I suddenly realised actually that there are lots of other places sort of surrounding London. So just through the research and all that. So yeah, to start with, it was a bit difficult, but then I found more and more places, and as long as you sort of follow, you're respectful and take all your stuff with you, you can find good enough places, definitely.
Yeah, most definitely. I've never been moved on, thankfully. I've heard a few people who have. Have you ever been moved on, or had like a local disturb you at all when you've been wild camping?
I've not had a local disturb me. No, I've never been moved on. I like yourself, I've heard of it happening. I think it's quite rare, especially if you go to places like like the Peak District or Lake District, where it's so vast that it's kind of unlikely to happen. I did do some camping in where I forget where it was, but I think it was either Chanctonbury or Sisbury Ring, which is kind of fairly local to me, and it's basically like an old iron fort, and there are a bunch of wild horses within that area, and they just kind of woke me up in the middle of the night and sort of stampeding past my tent, and I'm thinking, oh geez, am I going to get stamped on or whatever? So they disturbed me, but it wasn't the same thing as someone asking me to be moved on. So, yeah.
Well, no, that's a bit different, getting potentially stampeded by a load of horses than getting shouted at by an angry farmer,
Exactly.
who you can probably bribe with a beer or two potentially.
Yeah, good idea. Always worth having a couple of beers in case.
Oh, most definitely. Obviously, I've seen for your Instagram, which I'll link in the description of this episode. You quite like your craft ales. Do you have any particular favourites or anything you particularly enjoy?
I do, yeah, I do. So I really enjoy just the brew dogs. I know a lot of people kind of.
Or
I realize it's a bit controversial, and my friends. Actually, I've got a friend who's a brewer who sent me a bunch of beers, and it's in my last video. But I've got another friend who's very much, sort of anti the bigger companies, which I guess you'd class BrewDog as now. But they just seem to nail it in terms of like
mm,
they've got a nice range, and they're not too sort of strong, I guess is the word, and they smell great and they taste great, and then some of them like the Elvis juice one is like I think it's 6.5%, and that I mean it smells fantastic. And then the Punk IPA is great as well. It's not like some of these sort of more weaker, more commercial, like the San Miguel's and those ones. It's kind of
oh,
it's strong enough and tastes great. But yeah, what about yourself? Do you like them as well?
oh, man, I love a brew dog. Have you tried their was it brew dog versus Cloudwater
I've
one
seen
they
that.
released recently?
I've not tried it. No, I've seen that. Is it any good?
Mate, buy it. It is incredible.
Is it?
One of my favourite ones, like hands down. I do love Brewdog. The beforehand was I really loved that. I now really fancy one.
I think I might have one tonight. Just talking about it, I've got a
Oh.
couple in the fridge, so Friday night and all that. So
Of course, I forget it's Friday. I'm not working a bit on furloughed and waiting to get back into work. We've only got 40% of our staff back in the workplace.
right, right,
So I've sort of lost track of time.
right.
Sort of like when you go camping, it's
Yeah.
day 3 and you're like, wait, is this Friday or is this Sunday? Who knows?
Which day? How have you found that? Is it been tough, kind of not being in that routine, or have you managed to get a bit of a routine going?
Um, I haven't really had a routine going at all. From like previous episodes, listeners will know I'm part of the Army Reserve, so I've still been doing that. We're doing like virtual Zoom meetings.
Right.
But apart from that, I've not really been doing much apart from walking. I camped in the garden a couple of times because I am fortunate to have them.
Yeah.
I did have a couple of brew dogs, but I've also tried a few of the beers from Aldi recently because they've got a few, like microbrewery
So,
beers in there
yeah.
now,
Yeah.
and they're gorgeous.
Are they good? I've tried a couple of them. I can't remember which ones, but I thought I was pretty impressed, and good to see that they're kind of doing that. But yeah, it's a good shout. Which were there any ones that you liked in particular, or just
Oh, there was a pineapple one, and that is hands down my favourite one. It is beautiful. It's more of like a summer's day, sat there by the canal or, sat there like by some body of water,
yeah,
chilling out
yeah,
kind of beer more than I'm going to sit there in a cold, dark room kind of beer.
yeah, and drown away my sorrows kind of beer.
Yeah, they're not one of those, it's not a Stella, so I'm not going to go home afterwards and, start throwing things around the house.
Yeah, what I try and do, Kieran, is I'll just always, if I'm in a supermarket or something, I always just look around and see, try and get something different every time and see what's there. And even if
Mm.
it's just a couple of cans, just try something different and see. And that's why I say that the BrewDog for me is just the one that I always keep going back to, and I must be doing something right. But yeah, I know a
You
lot.
just know
Go on, sorry.
you just know what you're getting with them. I think that's the thing. It's consistency, and Brewdog have grown to such a point now
Mm.
where you can get a pint of Brewdog in your local pub.
Which is crazy, isn't it? How they've managed to kind of grow. I've seen it in quite a few pubs now, and I'm impressed at how most places seem to be selling it.
I'm impressed as well. As someone who does prefer that kind of beer to your traditional, San Miguel, Carlsberg, and things.
Yeah, yeah.
I love the fact that I can go out on a Friday, Saturday night and have a few brew dogs. Not as many as I would as Carlsberg because it's stronger, but you can have a few and be quite pleasant.
That's it. That's it. And I think people just appreciate variety now. I think gone are the days when you just have, like when I was younger, it used to be sort of the Fosters, Kronenberg, Stella, and that kind of stuff, and nothing else.
Mm.
And I think people just appreciate that variety now, and it's the same with a lot of things. I guess people just like that side of things, and it's good to see that's kind of coming through. And like the more the merrier for me. As I say, I really enjoy trying different ones. So yeah, it's good.
Oh, mate, I'm the same. I really enjoy trying different ones. I always try and take a different one with me while I'm camping.
Yeah,
Usually try, you ever heard of like these dessert beers?
yeah, I have. Yeah, like
I've
ice
never had
cream,
one.
whatever. I've not either, but they always look interesting. I need to try one, but yeah, not tried one yet. I tend, like you said,
No.
I go for the fruit, like the if it's got mango on the tin or pineapple or something, and I'm like kind of grabs my attention and like, oh, I want to smell it, and I'll always smell it first just to see what it smells like, because sometimes that can be as nice as the taste in a way.
Oh, mate, 100%. You know what they say, like, smell is like half the experience. That's why like people do like wine tasting, start smelling it first.
Who was
You
that
have to
guy?
be a connoisseur beer tester.
That's it. That's it. It'd be a great job. Who was that? I was just thinking of that wine guy back in the day who would. It just seemed like they were all claiming to just be smelling it the whole time, but really they were just getting tanked and just drinking as much wine as possible. Hilarious.
Yeah, I reckon those secretly campers because I don't know if you've been out camping before and just seen everyone's out there having a few bevies. We can't help ourselves.
That's it. That's it. It seems there's definite crossover, isn't there? It's like this. It's meant to be this sort of healthy thing of get out there, enjoy the fresh air, but everyone's taking shitloads of beer with them, aren't they? So it's just turning into a big
Yeah,
drinking.
it's like everyone's like an ultra light camper until they start packing the beer.
That's it. There's always room. There's always added weight for the beers. It's fine. It's fine.
Mate, it always is. It's good fun though. I'm loving that whole side of like camping and wild camping things, where people were treating it as more of like a social thing rather than just going out there to get away from people. It's more of a social exploration. Seeing if other people out there, everyone says hi to each other. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I agree, mate, and I definitely see it on like the community is, and I'm sure it's consistent with the other conversations you've had, but like people just seem so friendly and you get the odd troll on YouTube as you'd imagine, that the odd negative comment, but generally people are like, do you want to go for a camp? Do you want to have a beer? And it's just really impressive how people are just super friendly and like there are a lot of people out there doing it, and it's just the community is just really, yeah. I'm constantly kind of overwhelmed at how sort of friendly people are and always inviting you out and stuff. It's do you kind of get that sense as well from what you've seen? Or
Well, mate, 100%. Obviously, I've got the privilege and the honour of interviewing all these people, and every single one I've done, I've had a brilliant time. I've enjoyed actually interviewing them and just discussing it. It's like, sat down in the pub having a chat with your mate is fantastic.
yeah, definitely, and I think it's in keeping with. I think people use this kind of hobby, or call it what you want, as a way of as a release, just to kind of get those endorphins going and get that fresh air and just make you feeling a bit better with whatever stresses you're dealing with in your life. So I think, and that's reflected in the community. No one's there to kind of, you know, sort of, do damage to anyone, or it's very welcoming, and people want to get on and meet new people and experience new things and ask people about kit and all that kind of stuff. It's great. Really like it.
Oh, 100%, mate. 100%. Everyone's willing to help each other. If somebody knows something and you want to find out, you'll message them and they'll quite happily help you out. They'll let you know. And other people will message you and you'll do the same.
Yeah.
That's how it's all received.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice, and I think that's the way to grow these things, because it can be competitive. Lots of people, especially with the YouTube side, and I'm sure you see it in the podcast, but lots of people are doing this thing. But I think if we all help each other to grow, it's a much better way to do it than going off on your
You
own.
cut your nose off to spite your face type thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, mate, I do agree 100%. This whole community does help each other out, and like you said, we're all helping each other grow. One thing I have noticed though in the podcasting world, nobody seems to be on this bandwagon that I'm on at the minute. I'm not sure if I'm some pioneer or some Christopher Columbus or something of the podcasting world.
Hmm.
But I've really struggled to find people create the same sort of content which I'm doing, which is literally having a chat, seeing these people out there, seeing how they're doing, what their story is, what motivates them to do this hobby, which we all love,
Hmm.
and then putting it out there for other people to hear.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea, Kieran, for sure. What you're doing, like, I guess I was skeptical at first, and then I sort of quickly looked at and listened to a couple of your videos, and then I thought, this really works, and it is kind of when I looked at, so like I'm not sure if you heard of a guy called Paul Mesno, who's probably one of the first guys I
Yep.
started following on YouTube, and he did a couple of live streams, and I'm quite into like fantasy football and that kind of stuff, and there are loads of guys who do live streams on and that, I found that really helpful, and you can kind of do your own thing and listen. But like Paul did a couple of those live stream ones, and I just thought it was such a good format to kind of just listen to someone talking and getting feedback from people, and rather than watching a video. And I think you're in a kind of niche market where if you say there aren't that many people doing it, it's definitely a good thing to do, because I think with this content, it's really really good, and people are as interested in seeing what's going on. But it's nice, like a lot of things that I do, I kind of like to do other things whilst I'm listening to the radio, and I'll have my headphones in at home or doing different things, and it's good to it'd be really good to have that kind of be able to listen to camping, and not having to watch it necessarily. So I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a whole different medium. I think it's allowing people to listen, to experience, and also us to convey a message to them
Mhm.
and put across our individual points of views and our experiences as well in a easy to listen to and a easy to consume format. Radio is a massive, massive thing, but it is slowly dying because podcasting in America is just taking over it.
Right, right. I saw that Joe Rogan deal the other
Yeah.
day. Or was it like $100 million or something? Spotify have basically bought the rights or whatever to show it on their platform. So I was like, wow, that's amazing. When you see stuff like that, it's it kind of makes you realize how big it is, as you say.
Oh, 100%. Also, YouTube, we've touched briefly on that already. But, what got you into starting to do that? What persuaded you to, go down that road, go down, that path?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So it's kind of a bit of a long story, but I sort of always was into camping and hiking and that kind of stuff, I guess. So from a young age, I think it was around 1999 when we went on a holiday with, so my family, my mum and dad and my brother and sister, on a trip to Wales. And we went with some family friends, and there was a young guy who had a tent there, and that kind of, I thought it was really cool. This idea of sleeping in a tent, and that's kind of, and I must have been about, I can't remember how old I was, much younger, maybe 12 at the time. And he just planted the seed for me. I was like, oh, I'd love to sleep in a tent. That'd be really cool. And I didn't really do anything about it. And then for whatever reason, it was around about August of 2018. I was looking on one of the websites like Millets or something like that, or Blacks, and I saw a tent, and it seemed like it was like 50 quid. It was a cheapish tent, and I just thought, why don't I just get it and just see what happens? And I think it must have been roughly the same time I looked on YouTube and kind of saw some guys doing videos, and I thought, oh, this is actually a thing. It's okay to kind of go out and if you want to sleep on a hill in the middle of nowhere, just do it on your own. And for where it's always something that I'd had in the back of my mind. And then with that sort of just looking on YouTube, I'd realized it was a thing. And I thought, as I was on YouTube and people were filming, I was like, I think I saw a Haze Outdoors video was one of the first ones I saw, and I just thought it was funny and looked like a good laugh. And I thought, well, I could probably do a bit of filming as well, just to see how it goes. And so I think I did a couple of camps before I sort of filmed it, and then just kind of got the phone out, and that was probably about a year ago now, and just kind of cracked on and thought, yeah, and as we said before, I've kind of learned a few things as I've been going about audio and camera work and all of that stuff. But yeah, that's kind of how I got into it.
Yeah, it is. YouTube is a very, how do you put it? Packed medium where a lot of people, like every single person I've spoken to, knows Haze Outdoors. He seems to be this celebrity in the camping and wilderness outdoor world. I've tried to get him on this because I thought it would be awesome.
Yeah.
But my message has got a lovely not seen next to it. So he hasn't seen it yet, but if he ever does come across it and I'll get him on, I'll let you know because I feel like it's going to be an absolute scream. It'd be so funny.
Yeah, it'd be really good for you as well. I think it'd be great to get him on. I think people would really like that as well. I guess he's the kind of guy who's probably a bit inundated with those. I mean, not these podcasts, but he's probably getting different things, and I'm not sure if he's reading all the messages, like you said. So, but yeah, I think it'd be awesome if you could get him on there. What about yourself? How did you get? How did you get into this kind of the podcast side of things?
Through a guy called Chase Tuning. Actually, he runs a podcast called Ever Forward Radio. I think it's got 1 million downloads at the moment. It is massive. It's not small at all.
Yeah.
But I used to follow his brother Max Tuning on YouTube, and I then come across him. And their family motto is to live a life ever forward, and it really resonated with me. Yeah. And I thought, I'm going to listen to this guy. I'm going to, listen. And I basically had this call to action kind of moment. I love podcasting so much, and he inspired me to put my own take on it and then go into what I thought be a good area to combine my love of camping and health and fitness to then put across other people's messages who haven't thought of potentially doing this.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's really cool. It sounds like a really cool idea, and like if you could combine it with something you love doing, that's a bonus, isn't it?
But that's the whole point. We don't get paid to do this. We're quite small channels. Small podcasts. We're not massive. Nobody I'm speaking to, is doing this full time. Everyone's got their day job. So we're taking the time out of seeing our family, seeing our friends, going down the
Yeah,
pub. Spending time with our loved ones to create this content. Why would we do it if we didn't love it?
yeah, agree, agree. And do you kind of enjoy the whole process, like the editing side as well, and all of that stuff?
Yeah, sometimes I'm the same as everyone else. I'm not going to, say it's all rosy. Sometimes, I've really struggled with like motivating myself to do it because, it is a chore, but it is enjoyable.
Mm,
Um, Potentially sometimes I'll have like an hour and a half's worth of footage, or when I say footage, I mean like, audio to go
yeah,
through. I can't, or I can post an hour and a half's worth of, audio, but the likelihood of people listening to it, wouldn't be great. So I try and cut it down to, 40, 45 minutes, or if I think it's a particularly like taxing episode, there's a lot of dialogue and a lot of information to be conveyed. I'll probably try and half it again, break it into two parts,
yeah.
which I had to do Richard McKinley's one because there's just so much.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I think definitely I've got a bit of a love hate with the editing thing. I'm learning to like it more and kind of getting used to how to do it a bit better. But it's I think to start with I was like, oh man, this can be quite tedious. But yeah,
It's that
it's
learning curve.
for sure, for sure. And it's like it's almost like you have the one hobby which is going outdoors, camping, having a few beers and having a good laugh, and whether you go with friends or not, and enjoying that side. And then there's this like content side, which is filming it, and it's a whole different job really, and it's just a whole. But it's a great experience in terms of like the learning about it
Mm.
and all of that thing, all of that side.
Yeah, I think that's the like, main point of this. We all got into wild camping and then got into like podcasting or YouTube. So the whole reason we do this isn't because we wanted to be YouTube famous, which some people are doing out there are trying to do that, and I think they get caught out very quickly because they can tell they're not passionate about their subject.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, agree with you.
Right, but I agree as well. Obviously, you said beforehand that you had quite an interesting wild camping experience. You said sort of like in March you got caught in a storm. What happened there?
Yeah, so this was Storm Kira. So it was around about March time, and I knew there was a storm coming, and there were a couple of storms at that point that it just seemed like every week there was a new storm, and they kind of were naming them differently, and it seemed like it was happening a lot. So anyway, I thought I'll go out in it and just test my kit and see how we get on, and if it's bad, I can always kind of jump ship and abandon, which I've never done, by the way. So it was in a place called Ivanhoe Beacon, which is in the Chilterns, which is kind of northwest of London, and went out there, took my kit with me. Got there sort of early-ish. It was still light, and there were a few people around. It's on a kind of a hill fort, and it's quite touristy. So I was just waiting for people to die down, and had like a beer or two whilst I was waiting. And then people eventually went, and so I was pitching my tent, and it was pretty windy. It was by the time it got dark, the wind was kind of picking up. Pitched the tent, guide it all out and stuff on sort of the side of this on the side of the beacon on a slight slope, and then I had a couple of more beers because I just thought, if this is going to go kind of bad, I might as well just enjoy it. And then, yeah, eventually went to sleep at sort of around 11 o'clock, and I was looking on my phone. I was thinking, this thing's going to hit at like 3 in the morning, so it's probably going to be a wake up in the middle of the night. And yeah, sure enough, 1 a.m. woke up and my tent sort of collapsed on my sort of face, and then it's just the whole
Oh,
tent's kind of caved in, the fly sheet's kind of ripped off, and I've put a video on it on my channel, um and yeah, I mean, it's the thing is with this kind of thing is it's not ideal, but I knew I was sort of 20 minutes away from my car. I was able to get out, sort of pack everything away, and it's not, I wouldn't advocate doing that kind of thing in the Peak District where you're going to have to rely on mountain rescue and people like that to kind of rescue you. But I think on this occasion I knew I knew where my car was. It wasn't far away if it went wrong. I was expecting to do it, and I've got quite a lot of experience. Although I've been doing it for about a year, I did the coast to coast walk as well, and I've done a whole bunch of camps. So I felt like I was sort of experienced enough to sort of go through that experience. But yeah, it was one I'll never forget. And it's interesting when we talk about we have a passion for this, and when I think of the last few camps, it's been a lot of them are quite tough. But for me, it's about the perspective that you get from when you come back and you have the running water and the bed, and you just realize that actually how nice it is to have those nice things, and then you appreciate it even more. And I think that's what I like about camping in a weird way. It sort of strips everything back, and it's just you and you're on your own, and there are no buildings around you, and it's escapism, and it's the benefit of the exercise and all those the danger element as well. It's all those things that I really really like.
Yeah, it's like you said, obviously you said that, you're 20 minutes from the car, so you've inadvertently then managed your risk. You haven't got that far to go if you need to get out of that situation. So, you've proven there that whilst you're well camping, we are doing things that are different, are potentially putting ourselves in, situations where the normal person probably wouldn't be that prepared for. But because we've done it for a number of times, we know how to react in that situation, but also you're risk managing, to allow yourself that get out of jail free card, so to speak. 20 minutes from the car, you can abandon your tent if it's collapsed, sleep in the car, come back and get it. You're not putting yourself in any harm's way.
Yeah, exactly, Kieran. And I think we've always got to bear that in mind as like the safety aspect and that side of things, and obviously always make sure we have, you've got the medical kit and that kind of thing. But it's just, yeah, having that in the back of your mind, that are you doing the right thing? And it's easy to kind of look online because a lot of people do crazy things, and you think, oh, it's tempting to do that, even as a, not necessarily as a kid, but as an adult, you could see someone doing something and think, oh, I think about the content, but actually, it's good to just slow down and stop and think about these things sometimes, because it can go wrong, and it's just being mindful of that sometimes. But that's, as I said, that's part of the thrill of doing it for me, for sure. Is it puts you in that position that you're never normally in day to day life.
Yeah, so it's trying to test your limits. That escapism, what you said, is to escape your normal day to day and do something different. Push yourself beyond that sort of like normal limit that you'd come across.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Just kind of push yourself a bit and get out there and try something new. Don't do stupid things, but just sort of push yourself a little bit. If it's a new location you've not been to, go for it. I always try and go to different places when I'm out there camping. I try and mix it up. So yeah, enjoying it.
Yeah, I agree. I always go to like different places. Like you said, you gone to the Brecon Beacons. Like Welsh seems to be my stomping ground.
Sure.
I have no idea why. I think it's due to the fact that I used to always go there as a kid, and I love it. And it's somewhere I feel familiar with. So even though I'm camping in the middle of nowhere, I know where I am.
Yeah. Is that kind of in the south or north? Did you say the Brecon
Uh,
Beacons?
I've done Snowdonia quite a couple of times. I think I've camped there 3 times now.
Oh wow.
And I've also done the Brecon Beacons twice.
Okay. Which do you prefer?
I prefer Snowdonia, but I think that's just because of what I enjoy and the fact that I've been up Snowdon maybe 10, 11 times as a child, and done it, good 3, 4 times as an adult.
Yeah.
Just it seems to be one quite comfortable. On those people I climb my abseil, I feel like I'm pretty capable to operate in that kind of environment.
Oh,
Like yourself, obviously you're a climber, so you know exactly what I mean.
well, yeah, no, I was just on the Snowdonia one. It's I know why you like it more than Brecon Beacons, because I think for me it just feels a bit more scenic and a bit nicer but for me, I think because I'm in London, the nearest is either Brecon Beacons or the Peak District. So, but it's lovely, Snowdonia. But yeah, climbing, I've done a little bit in the past. I've done some like climbing gyms. I've not actually been. I've yet to go outdoors, but it's for me it was like something I wanted to get into sort of after the camping stuff, like more seriously, and look at maybe bouldering or kind of going outdoors and doing some actual proper climbs. But I've done a bit of gym
Mm.
work, sort of indoor climbing gyms and stuff so far. But yeah, for me I think it's on the horizon as something I'd like to do, hopefully this year if I get a chance.
Oh, mate, that's if COVID-19 doesn't stop us. I was hopefully going to be walking the South Downs Way this year, which is a 100-mile through hike.
Yeah.
But, that's all been cancelled due to this COVID-19. You've had any plans cancelled or anything, or had to move anything because of this?
I had a trip to Ireland booked back in April, and that was to go to. So there's a national park, and I forget what it's called. It's in the southwest of Ireland. So I booked a flight into Dublin because I've not been to Ireland before, and the plan was to hire a car, drive to the national park down in the southwest, and then do a camp, and then so spend a night in Dublin, then spend a night camping. And I've got a friend who lives around there as well, and his wife, so it's going to go down and see them as well. So, but yeah, I got the message through saying from British Airways saying they've cancelled the flight, and oddly they cancelled the return flight first, and then I got another one a couple of weeks later around lockdown time saying, oh, we've cancelled the outbound flight as well. So yeah, unfortunately that would have been a cool camping trip that got cancelled. But yeah, did you when were you going to do the South Downs Away? Was it now or?
This time, basically, this sort of time of the year, it's very pleasant outside.
Yeah,
We've had good weather for the last 3-4 weeks, so it would have been that sort of time, and that would have been absolutely perfect
yeah,
weather to be doing this camp.
yeah.
But it's a blessing in disguise because I've decided that I want to change sort of my gear and setup. I want to potentially move more into this ultralight through hiking kind of world rather than what I currently do, which seems to be more like extreme camping. I've got a 4-season tent. I've been out there in stupid weather. I want to basically see, how many miles can I do per day? How long
Oh,
can I walk for?
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that sounds like a good idea. I mentioned did the coast to coast, and that was a good opportunity for me just to kind of at that point I was still quite early in my kind of camping days, I suppose, but it was a good opportunity to go out there and see what lighter kit there was. And as you say, Kieran, if you're thinking of you got to carry this stuff on your back, you're going to look at around for what's lightest. And yeah, for me that was a really cool time to just go out there and get some new kit and just get the lightest stuff I could find and
Yeah,
spend
talking about
money.
kit, it is so expensive.
It is, isn't it? Isn't it? I
You
think
can spend stupid money.
for sure. I think that's the thing that struck me when I got into it. I was like, "Oh, camping's a cheap holiday," and I think it is when you can, you can do these things for cheaper. But then when it comes to it, when you really get into it, the cost of some of the equipment is it's impressive, and then the
I
companies
don't.
as well. But yeah,
I know what you mean. I've got a Thermarest X Therm sleeping mat. Um, yeah, that was not cheap at all. But I tell you something, it's worth its weight in gold 'cause it's absolutely brilliant. What sort of sleeping system do you use? Do you got like a cheap mat? Basically you're lying on a full blanket, or you got something a bit better?
well, yeah, no, I'm with you. I did. So the first time I started buying all my kit, I didn't want to spend loads of money, and I guess I'm a bit stingy like that. But I didn't know
I
whether
was the same.
I didn't know whether I'd enjoy it or not. So I was like, I don't want to spend a ton of money. And then so I got a load of cheap gear to start with, and I thought I can always like I get like if you spend cheap, you tend to buy twice, and it's so true, especially with camping stuff. But I was sort of
Mm.
buying stuff from Berghaus and stuff, so it wasn't like super cheap. And but so I got quite a thin self-inflatable mat, and I just wasn't sleeping. And then driving up to the Peak District is about 3.5 hour drive, 4 hour drive, and then back the next day or a couple of days later, you're pretty knackered if you're sleeping outdoors and not sleeping all that well on these thin mats anyway. So, like yourself, I invested in a Thermarest. I think it's the Neo Air X Lite, and it just made such a big difference. Just having that sort of extra bit of comfort and just that sleep, and the next day not feeling completely exhausted. So yeah, definitely a good investment.
Well, mate, honestly, that sleeping system is your biggest investment. Are you a sleeping bag kind of guy, or you prefer a quilt? So I'm quite interested to hear that.
Yeah, yeah, sleeping bag. I the first bag I got, it was a sleeping bag, and then the second one I got a lighter one for the walk that I mentioned. Um, and I did regret it, to be honest. I was sort of mulling over this sleeping bag that I wanted, and like down sleeping bags are really expensive, and
Mm.
I was looking at this one, as you know, and eventually I had to buy it because I was sort of running out of time and I had a deadline to do this walk. And so I eventually bought it, and then it wasn't until afterwards I realised that quilts just they're lighter, and they're probably in some cases not as expensive because they don't have the hood, so they're a bit lighter. And I probably should have invested in one of those, but I'm pretty pleased with the one I've got. It's it's under a kilo in weight, and it packs down so much smaller than my old one. So
That's like under a kilo. We're talking about like, oh, this weighs 50 grams less than this. It's so much better.
you're just like, what's the difference? But you see it when I think my first sleeping bag was like 1.5, but it was the pack size as well. It like filled up the whole backpack.
Yeah.
It's just a nightmare. But what about
You
yourself?
say 1.5 kilos? That's so light. I think my first sleeping bag was a Mountain Warehouse. What is it? Summit 200 XL or something like that.
Okay.
It was not a sleeping bag, but I think I got 2.6 kilos.
Really? Jeez.
Yeah, literally, my whole sleeping system now weighs less. That's like my pillow, the mat, the quilt.
Yeah.
Everything weighs less than just my sleeping bag before.
It's amazing, isn't it? And so I think it was like 1.6, but it was just massive. And I think I was conscious of it at the time. I was looking around and found this one. But yeah, it's good to go for the light stuff if you can afford it. But a lot of the time it can be more expensive. But then I encourage it. Like, the more I've done the research, and I'm a bit of a gearhead, I like looking at all the kit and stuff. And I've realised you can get some like Outkit do some tents, and there are enough companies out there who do the kind of lightweight stuff, and it doesn't have to be expensive. So I guess again, it's just doing research.
Yeah, it's finding that balance point between like how light can I get, and then how much is it going to cost me. So it gets to like the point of diminishing returns. You can get these tents that weigh 700, 800 grams. They cost like 800, 900 pound. Like, sorry, but I'm not going to spend that much on a tent. But you can get like a Lanshan 2, which is like a pole tent. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Weighs, I think it's like 1.1, 1.2 kilos.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay 500, probably an extra £600 for a 500 gram weight saving. No.
Exactly. It's like if you had the money, but it's just otherwise, why would you do it if you, because the thing is with tents, you're going to bash them around, unless it's unlikely you're going to really look after it, and you might as well just go for something that's not going to kill your bank account, and then you can enjoy it. You don't have to worry about it. And I think if I spent 800 quid on a tent, mate, I'd just be freaking out about it the whole time. But I get why people.
I'll be homeless.
Yeah. Well, you'd still have a bit of a home, I guess. But
I'd have a tent, but I'm not sure if you can use a tent as a residing address.
Exactly.
Yeah, where do you live? Well, I live in my Hillyberg tent that cost me over £1,000.
Good, well done for you, mate. Well done. I was listening to this couple actually who did that. They I think they were renting their place, but they basically sold up and bought They just bought a caravan and were just living out of that and I think they were stuck in another country because of lockdown. But it was quite a cool story. Just kind of that, just living.
Oh, you're about like people who do like van life and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So just living out of a caravan and then just living off the rental from their house that they'd paid for in the UK. But that's quite.
I've seen that.
Cool idea. Yeah.
I've seen that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's quite.
I'd love to do that.
Me too.
That's the dream.
Yeah, it's like freedom, isn't it? Just get away from everything, and that'd be cool.
Yeah, have you travelled at all? Been anywhere different, interesting?
Do you mean with camping stuff or?
No, just in general, mate. Just in general.
Just general, yeah. So I did. I've done a few things. So when I was 19, I went to Australia just on my own, off the cuff. I took a year out before I went to uni and did a bit of traveling down the East Coast. And then whilst I was at uni, I did a lot of Eastern kind of Europe, so sort of Poland. I went to like Bosnia, Italy, Croatia, a lot of the countries around there, Slovakia, Slovenia, and those ones. And then again, like I was talking about camping, when I go out, I like to try and do kind of sort of go to different locations and that sort of thing. So if I go traveling abroad, if it's like for a holiday, I'll always try and go to somewhere I've never been before and make it a bit more interesting. So yeah, I'm trying to think. More recently, I've been to sort of Cancun. Went to Germany last year.
I love Germany. That's an awesome place, I think.
Where did you go?
I took the other half to Berlin for her birthday.
Oh, lovely.
And it is fantastic there. I've been to Paris as a capital city. I've been to Spain. I've been like Thailand and things. My favourite capital city though, like by far, it is Berlin. I just think it's awesome.
What did you like about it? Was it like the food or?
The food, the beer, the whole atmosphere.
Yeah,
I honestly thought so welcomed there by the locals.
yeah,
We're both quite young at the time, and we were so welcomed there by the people we met, that you sort of felt like you were accepted. But I've been to like Paris and things,
hmm
and we both said this, me and my other half, that we felt like we were treated as outsiders. We weren't important.
mm.
We're just there as tourists. Well, we weren't treated like that. We went to Berlin.
Yeah. It's how people treat you, isn't it? A lot of the time, mate, as to how much you're gonna kind of enjoy the experience. But yeah, I agree with you. I went to Berlin. I thought it was fantastic as well. Quite an arty kind of place, a bit more than I think I is expecting it to be a bit more commercial and a bit more sort of skyscrapery, I suppose. But yeah, I was quite surprised at how kind of sort of arty and kind of that side of things, or like the beer and stuff and all of that stuff. Yeah, it's a cool place.
Oh, but back to the beer again.
It always goes back to that, doesn't it? In fact, I was going to have one.
It does seem to be.
I like the way we spent the first 10 minutes just talking about alcohol. But yeah, I was going to have a beer whilst I was doing this, and I thought, no, I can't. I've got to focus.
But I'll have to do that. It's do like a massive podcast with a load of people and just be like, Life of Movementz, the drunk edition.
Just see if you can get people to actually say stuff, like speak properly whilst they're drinking through the podcast. That'd be hilarious.
Oh, that would be quite funny actually. Do a Zoom call and just record it and just post it on everyone's channels. It'd be so funny.
Did you see that in the news? There was a lady who I think she was on the toilet or something, and she was on like a really important call at work, and I think she accidentally didn't turn off her video
Oh dear.
thingy. So yeah, like everyone, it was like her boss and like everyone on the call, and there were a huge bunch of people on it. But I'd imagine there are a few people who've been in that situation. It's quite funny.
Yeah, definitely. Especially everyone's doing the Zoom meetings. Nobody's actually. I reckon people aren't actually getting dressed properly. They're just doing like their hair, putting on like a top, and then just wandering around in pajamas the rest of the day.
Definitely, or like half dressed and half not dressed. So maybe like if it's a business, like the suit jacket or the smart top, and then just like boxer shorts, just sitting in their pants. But yeah, I think it's changed the way we work.
Us being Brits, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how we go back to the new kind of normal, I guess. But.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I really think us as a country are going to have a massive awakening into how we treat each other, going back into our normal daily lives. That actually, how much time do we waste with things which are not important?
For sure, yeah, for sure. I think it's helped like a bit of perspective. I think, hasn't it? Like everyone, like personally, I've had a bit more time just to slow down and sort of think a little bit about what I'm doing a bit more, and just even like having a little bit more sleep and stuff. Normally I'm up at 6:30 for work, and with working from home now, which is what I'm doing it, that kind of routine has changed a little bit. So it's kind of nice. I am looking forward to kind of getting back out there again. But I can't say I've completely sort of disliked it. I don't have any children, so I'm not one of those unfortunate people who I wasn't able to sort of kind of get a break from the kids and stuff, and then get away from that. But yeah, what about yourself? Are you in that situation? Or?
Thankfully, I don't have any children, thank God.
Okay.
To people out there who listen and have children, I feel sorry for you. Full disclaimer. But they're probably lovely, and you could adore as much as you like. But it's brilliant to have a lion and not get jumped on in the mornings.
Oh man! But you know what's coming. Like I'm just because for me it's definitely something I want to do. But it's just enjoy the time.
I've been. You say that I've been uber and ahhing. I don't know. Maybe it's me being selfish. But I'm not 100% sure. I'm on the fence. We'll put it that way. I'm on the fence.
Yeah. And I think more people are, mate. To be honest, it's definitely, like statistically, that's what I was talking to like my boss about this the other day, and it's like less people are having kids. It's a fact, like than ever before, and I think there's a reason. I think there's, I don't know what you think, but maybe is it there's more kind of people don't want to be, spending out all the cash that they have on that kind of thing, or is it like I don't know what the reasons might be? Do they want to be going camping?
I think
I don't know.
I think there's loads of social, economic, and also personal reasons why people either don't want to have kids or can't have kids, or
For
something
sure.
on that perspective.
Yeah.
Like me personally, it's more to do with one. I'm not sure that realistically, you'd be able to give them that 100%. Give them all, give them your full 100% undivided attention. I'm sort of one of these people. I'm quite fleeting, so
Yeah.
I'm very like spontaneous. So I do things like in the spur of the moment. I'll just decide randomly to go and do things. Do you want to give up that side of your personality? That's the question.
Well, that's it. That's it, Kieran. And the last thing you want to do is like be selfish when you're in that situation, because then it's like, is the kid going to get enough of your attention as they need to develop and grow? And it's something I always think about as well. Is like, am I going to give this person enough of the attention that they deserve? And that's like, I'm responsible for that, and it's not fair if I don't do that. It's just that thing if you don't want to fuck it up, basically. So it's kind of like, well, should I do it, or should I leave it a bit longer until I'm a bit more responsible? Or I don't know. I'm with you on that, but yeah, we'll see.
That's fun, mate. Yeah, we've sort of gone like really weird this conversation.
Yeah.
That's
It's good though. It's good.
it's good. It's literally sat there down the pub with your mate, having a beer, and just talking about the world and putting the world to rights, so to speak.
Yeah, shooting the shit, as you say. Yeah, just talking nonsense for a few minutes.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm gonna have to do a lot of beeping in this episode.
It just adds a bit of passion, though, doesn't it? It's just being normal. No, sorry, I'm
Yeah,
not normally.
full disclaimer: but parental advisory content.
Do you want to guess? Have they been swearing as well, or probably not as much? But...
Um, I think a few of them have, but we've sort of like skirted around it. Everyone says swearing's a bad thing, and the English language doesn't accommodate for it. But I think completely opposite. The language is constantly evolving; it's constantly changing.
Yeah.
So, swearing has become more and more and more part of our vocabulary in the everyday life.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, and probably more accepted as well, as long as it's. I mean, I guess they're all offensive words, aren't they? But as long as it's nothing, too bad. But
Yeah, I'm not gonna say some of the bad ones, but we could probably all think of them.
yeah, agree. But it's something I'm conscious of when I do the YouTube videos. I'm sort of like, I can't swear. And I was watching one the other day, and it was when I keep on going on about it, but when I did the coast to coast walk, it was like the longest walk I'd done, and it was I think 190 miles, something like that, or 200 miles, and I did it in 9 days. And I was watching back this video, and I'm just swearing the whole time, and I'm thinking, I actually put this out there. It's like that's so, but I think I was so fed up by the end of it. I was just exhausted, and that side of it kind of came through.
190 miles.
Yeah. It was pretty crazy, mate. But I was like, I shouldn't have been swearing, but I think I was just done by the end. And yeah, you can kind of see that I'm just gradually the beard's getting longer, and I'm getting less chipper as it goes on, and it's just yeah, but amazing experience. I'd recommend it to anyone. It's just kind of almost life changing. I'd say, really, really cool.
Oh, mate, that is, I do recommend people like going out there for that long period of time, just to be out there potentially, by yourself. I'm going to do mine, hopefully, fingers crossed, with the other half. So I'm trying to get her into like wild camping and that kind of thing.
Sure.
She likes camping, but not. She's never tried wild camping, so I'm interested to see what happens there.
Yeah, my girlfriend won't touch it, and yeah, she's not she's not keen. She sort of sits in a tent. Like I was pitched a tent for a video the other day, and she sort of sat in it, and it was like it smells a bit funny, and just like you're not. Gonna, but that's cool. Like it's my hobby. I don't you do it to kind of get away, don't you? But yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Obviously, all talk about hobbies, spoken about your YouTube and things. One a day is all of Simon's information is going to be in the bottom in the show notes, same as we would find it every other time you listen to one of these. Always try and make it nice and easy for you guys.